Paging then Dr. Ben Carson, stat, we need you to provide some reasoned perspective on Ebola and now. And tonight, that gentleman will. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and coming to an airport near you. That's because major carriers continue to bring passengers in from countries right now dealing with the Ebola outbreak, including Nigeria, where there was a second death reported today. So to count, Delta, United, Air France, Lufthansa, they're all still flying there, and they're all still bringing passengers from there here. With stops today in Atlanta, New York, and Houston, more expected in the coming days. Should we be worried? To travel guru Mark Murphy on the phone. Mark, wouldn't the better part of valor be to cool it?
Well, I would say yes if they were flying directly from those hot zones into the U.S., but the airlines you're talking about, the U.S. carriers that do fly nonstop, they're coming out of Nigeria right now, and there have only been 2 of those reported cases in terms of deaths and just a handful of actual infections. So it's a large country. They're looking at it. They're monitoring it. And I would tell you that the airlines aren't going to put people in danger if they don't need to. And these are not massively profitable routes. They could easily drop those routes and redeploy those planes to other routes. So I think they're looking at it. They're seeing what the risk is, and they're assuming that they're going to be just fine.
I don't know. I mean, I'll defer to you as the industry expert on just the health side of it, though, when you have British Airways and others rethinking maybe this region, and certainly beyond Liberia, where the first case was reported, you have to wonder whether the better part of valor would be to cool it until we know the extent of illnesses and or deaths in a particular region, especially now that we know in Nigeria's case, we have at least 4 reported illnesses and now 1 confirmed death. Right.
So on the carriers you're talking about, like BA, dropping service, they are flying directly or were flying directly into those countries where the outbreak is greatest, and they've decided to stop that. There are some carriers that heavily depend on West Africa, and many of the routes go there. So if they do decide to pull out, basically those planes are going to be grounded. So those folks are going to be a little less or a little more hesitant to make that change unless they feel like there's imminent danger. I'm not a doctor, but in terms of how Ebola is transferred, it's by bodily fluids, as opposed to SARS, which was a big deal in Asia, right, where it was airborne. So you're obviously much more concerned in terms of an airborne situation on a plane that's enclosed than you would be for something that's transferred like Ebola is. So the risk of it is going to be far lower, and as long as we take the precautions, I think we're okay.
Thank you for the calming perspective. I hope you're right, my friend. Mark Murphy. Meanwhile,